Hello and welcome to another whiteboard training video. I'm Isaiah Henkel with Cheeky Scientist. If you want to learn more about what I'm talking about today, go to phdsgethired.com. So today we're talking about 25 reasons to leave academia in 2020. The new year is upon us. It's a great time to plan your escape, so to speak, from academia, and there's plenty of reasons to do this. Whether you are a graduate student, you're a postdoc, maybe you're in a part-time contract adjunct professorship, maybe you're in a full-time professorship. Now is the time to leave academia, and I have 25 of the top reasons to do so. They are backed by data, and we're going to start with number one. Secondhand work. Now there was a time, 50, 60, 70 years ago, where the best work was done in academia in terms of the best science, the best engineering, the best no matter what the discipline was. But things have changed. There's far less funding, which we're going to get to, which means there's far less resources, second-hand resources, third, fourth-hand resources. I remember when I was getting my PhD, we were using instruments that were way outdated. And then I got my first industry job, everything was brand new. They didn't just have one new instrument, they had three in case the first two broke down. I wasn't the one pipetting. They had robotics to do this. The most advanced resources are now in industry. The best work is being done in industry. Now, this doesn't mean that the people in academia aren't working hard. It just means that they don't have the resources that they need, and we'll come back to this. Number two, no retirement. If you're on a postdoc, you're a grad student, over 99% of institutions worldwide do not give any sort of retirement plan to PhDs. No retirement plan, unless you're in a full-time professorship. So if you're a postdoc, a grad student, you might be thinking, well, I'm still a student. I'm working towards a better future. But you're seeing your friends advanced in their careers. They have their retirement plans. They're buying houses, etc. It seems like time is slipping away from you because it is. It seems like your future that you should be saving for is slipping away for you, and it is. Okay, so you might be able to live on the limited means and salary that you're getting in academia, but what about when you're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old and you have nothing in retirement? What is that going to mean for you, for your family? Number three, low pay. I've been talking about this. Low pay is a problem. You're getting paid a third to a half of what you're worth at best in academia. In industry, the salaries have never been higher. Revenues, hiring is up worldwide, but in academia, way down. And a lot of this comes back to the lack of grant funding. And we'll circle back for this. Even worse, number four, no pay. I cannot tell you how many people join the Cheeky Scientist Association and tell me that they've been working for free for their PI. Are you doing that? Stop it. You don't have to work for free. Don't let them make you feel guilty. It's not your responsibility. It's not noble to work for free. It happens far too often. It's another reason to leave. 6 to 10 year postdocs. A postdoc used to not even exist. Then it came about to be a 1-year training program. Now the average postdoc, 6 to 10 years, usually over the course of 2 to 3 postdocs. A waste of time, low pay. It was never meant to be that way. You're not meant to be a permanent postdoc. Number 6, 30-year plus increase in postdocs. Number 7, 30-year plus decrease in full-time professorships. People will tell you, oh, the actual raw numbers of professorships are increasing. No, full-time professorships are like this. The only professorships that are increasing are adjunct professorships. Number 8, which is another reason to leave. Adjunct professorships, it's basically like a glorified postdoc. I feel bad for these people because they get paid horribly, they get treated horribly, they're overworked. It's essentially a postdoc, but they hide the fact that you're a postdoc. They give you the title of professorship so you can brag to your friends, but it's embarrassing because it's a horrible position. Number 9, no experience counseling and counselors. How many of you have gone to an academic career counselor for help and realized they have no idea what they're talking about? They will give you the wrong advice because they've never worked in industry. They've been in academia their whole life, could not get any sort of real job or didn't want to get a real job, so they stayed in academia to tell you how to get a real job? Doesn't make sense. Number 10, begging for money. Are you sick of this yet? Are you sick of begging for money? You know that people will pay you a lot of money in industry for your valuable skills, but instead you're in academia begging for it. You're begging reviewers to publish your papers, you're begging grant reviewers to give you grants, you're begging your PI, you're begging the people ahead of you, constantly begging for any source of funding. You don't need to be a beggar. Number 11, all of this comes down to decreased grant approvals because, again, the best work is now being done in industry. The government has no incentive to give more grant funding to universities if all the best stuff is being done in industry. It's not noble anymore. There's no reason to stay in academia for 1 second after getting your PhD. Number 12, being the last in your class. How many of you graduated your university, undergrad, the top of your class? Then you get into graduate school and you realize you're kind of in the middle of your class, but slowly you start seeing all of your friends that you went to undergrad with, who graduated below you, excelling past you in life. You tell yourself, well, I'm getting a PhD, I'm going to eventually get past them. But over time, it doesn't add up. Again, they're getting houses, going on vacations, saving up large sums of money in their retirement. They're making 3, 4, 5 times as much as you. And sooner or later, you have to stop lying to yourself. You have become last in class. They have become first. Number 13, confused family and friends. How many of you go home for the holidays, like now, you're telling people, I'm still getting my PhD. And they're confused, like, what? It's been 6 years. Or you tell them that you're still in a postdoc, you're still at the university. And they're like, aren't you a doctor now? Why are you poor? Why are you miserable? Why don't you have retirement? You don't even have a house? Sooner or later, you have to realize what you have in your hands right now isn't worth anything. Where is your value? It's in industry. Industry employers will pay you top salaries, benefits, everything that you need to finally leverage your PhD to do meaningful work and be paid well for it. It's not going to ever happen for you in academia. Outdated resources, we talked about this. Look around you. Look at the tools, the resources that you have. Are you tired of hand-me-downs? Why not get to use the best that whatever your field has to offer? It's not in academia. The best is going to be in industry. Class and lab politics. So many of us went into academia because we thought, okay, my success will depend on me alone. I won't need anybody else to be successful. I don't have to deal with politics. Everything's objective. And then you realize, wait a second, a university is a business and it's one of the biggest bureaucracies in the world. And there are politics, whether it's class politics, lab politics. A lot of you have learned this the hard way. There's studies and data that show that it's not the best science or the best research, whatever your background is, that gets funded. It's the most well-connected PIs or professors or labs that get funding. Politics is huge in academia. Number 16, critical atmosphere. We're taught to be critical of our research, critical of our data, which is very valuable. But very often this crosses over to being critical of other people, critical of yourself, and you start to feel this big in academia. Everything becomes critical and negative. You've had this weight on you. You've felt it. It's because of the critical environment. It's much different in industry. People are much happier. And it's because you have clear milestones. You work with a team to accomplish stuff together. It's not everybody fighting over scraps like it is in academia. Number 17, broken promises. How many times have you been given any sort of milestone from your professor, your PI, somebody else saying, if you just get here, you can graduate. If you just do this, you can become a professor. And then you accomplish it, and they move the target. Like, well, now you have to do this too. These broken promises, that's your future. It's going to happen over and over again. No milestones. In academia, the milestones are very fuzzy for a reason, so that they can move them, so that you can stay there longer because you're cheap labor. One of the biggest differences that we hear from our associates after they leave academia and get into industry is they have clear milestones. They know exactly what they have to hit. And as a PhD, you are amazing in terms of work ethic, research, analyzing data, solving problems. You can get to any milestone. Problem is academia doesn't give you any milestones because they want to keep the target fuzzy and they want to move it so they can keep you there as cheap labor. Number 19, we're almost done. All data is against you. The data I've been talking about, it just gets worse and worse and worse. The longer you stay in academia, the more you damage your career. There's reports out by Nature, Science, all showing this, that anybody that does a postdoc, overall, because of the loss in opportunity, the loss of time, they fare worse. Their salary and career trajectory are worse than people who do not do a postdoc. Every minute you spend in academia after your PhD damages your career. Number 2, mental health. Look at all the mental health problems in academia. Yes, there's mental health problems worldwide, every industry, but it's higher in academia than it is in industry. Why is this? It's because as a PhD, you're very driven. You want to get ahead. And having a clear view of your future and trusting the people around you is very important to your sense of self-worth, very important to your morale, your sense of self-fulfillment. When those are taken away from you, when you don't have clear targets, when you can't trust the people you're around, you're in a critical environment constantly, and you've worked really, really hard, but you're still in a postdoc making $30,000 a year, while people that you graduated above are making $100,000, $150,000, you lose your sense of purpose, and it makes you miserable. That's the mental health crisis in academia. 21, lost time. 22, opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is what you spend when you do anything else, right? So you might think staying in academia, eventually you can make more money, or eventually you can get a higher salary because of it. But if you stay in a postdoc for 5 years, for those 5 years you could have made $150,000 a year in a top position in industry. That's the opportunity cost that you're likely not calculating. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The longer you stay in academia, all those opportunities that you're giving up by staying add up, and your future gets darker and darker. Number 23, user experience analyst, medical science liaison, data scientist, analyst positions. These positions that never existed before, that PhDs were never invited to, are very hot in industry right now, no matter your background. You can get into an analyst position no matter what your PhD is in, whether you work in data or information, social scientist, life scientist, even humanities. You can get hired by the world's top companies because your ability to do two things: research, gather information and data, and to analyze that information and data. This makes you very, very valuable. PhDs are being hired into roles that only pharmacists or only medical doctors were being hired into before, because of your ability to do those two things, research and analysis, as well as your ability to learn quickly. You are very valuable in industry, which is one of the biggest reasons to leave academia. Finally, 24, the largest signing bonuses and salaries of the last 50 years worldwide were this year. And it's going to be the same in 2020. Now's your chance. I can't stress this enough. If you wait several years to where the worldwide economies start to dip again, and you transition then, when your salary, what is that going to mean? Your salary is going to be half of what it could be if you get in now, and so is your signing bonus. Get in now, because your salary, you'll keep staying pace on your salary trajectory, but your salary is going to start here if you transition in 2020 versus here if you wait. Finally, most PhDs hired in 1 year. Our internal data shows that more PhDs were hired this year, in 2019, than ever before, and the trend is going up still in 2020. Now is your chance to get hired in industry. You might be thinking, but I haven't been hired. This can't be true. I'm looking for a job. You're valuable. They're looking for you. They can't find you because you're invisible. So if you want to learn how to become visible, go to phdsgethired.com. Get on our Cheeky Scientist Association waitlist, because we have a very special enrollment coming up in January of 2020. This is your chance to get on the waitlist early. As always, remember your value as a PhD and start thinking and acting like a successful industry professional.